Okay, so we are starting.
Sorry.
Okay.
Uh, okay. This is a packet tracer. Yeah, we
So, however, way just that for you to follow up with what we are doing, but you can still cope. Maybe you can do your own later on. So today we'll be dealing with initial configuration of network, um, initial configuration of network devices. Like I said before, is the first thing that you do, the passwording thing. Just as you when you get your laptop, the first thing that you do, initial thing, basic things that you configure on your laptops, password, username, account name, file pictures, and all of that. These are first thing that you're supposed to do on your network devices. Now let's start this way. For instance, I just bought my router on my switch and I unboxing it to open it and check to be sure that all the necessary things are inside the cables, power cables, console cable, and every other cable, necessary cables that are supposed to be there are all there. So when I unbox it and I now open everything, and now what I need to do is that I need to connect my laptop. I will need to connect my laptop. Oh, sorry. I need to connect my laptop. This is my PC using console cable to my router, for instance. Now, there are things you need to know when you are connecting such. Now, when you want to configure, there are two basic ways or categories of configuration of network devices. One is out of bound. Out of, we have number one, band, out of band management. Out of band management is when you are configuring, this is number one, is when you are using console ports to configure network device. When you are configuring your network device using console ports, when you are configuring using console ports, or when you are using auxiliary port, there's a port called auxiliary. That is what we refer to as out of band category. Out of band, we have in-band. In-band, in-band management. That's number two. In-band management is when you are using LAN to connect to your network device or internet. Of course, LAN, any network, you are connecting to your network device using network. So we have one out of band and in-band management. And before that, let me just show us some things you need to know. Like console cable. You need to know what the console cable is. Trying to share my screen so that console cable, we have router, console cable, I need images. Okay, I said before, I said we have out of band and in band. Now, when you are configuring your network device and you want to use the console port to configure it, of course, that's always the first approach. Cisco, Cisco, Cisco. Please, can you hold on? Let me get what I'm looking for. Um, hold on. Okay, if you are looking at my screen now, you see that this is a router. Just open a router. You see, if you can see my cursor, this power, this is the power port of it. You just connect to the power source. You have so many USBs. One is console, another one is auxiliary, another ports. Now, whenever you are configuring a network device like this as router now, I power it. I connect my console cable to my computer. Now, this is the way console cable looks like. It has one end USB, as in one end RJ45 and one end serial. So this RJ45 end will go to your router somewhere here on the console. Then the serial will go to your PC. If your PC does not have serial, you can get a converter. But most console cables or new console cables have RJ45 to USB. Look at it here. This is RJ45 to USB. But old ones are this. But because most of the laptops doesn't have most of the laptops are female serial, so they cannot actually take this except you get a converter. But most of the laptop has USB. But for you to use this, you need to download a software, a driver for this. The driver is a USB serial. When you download it, then you will the one I've used, if you download it, for instance, after you finish downloading it, you go to your control panel. Try to go to the control panel. When you download it, you install it, then go to control panel. That is by the time you must have connected it to your network device. Okay, let me start this way. Like I said before, we have out of band management and we have in band management. And I say out of band management is when you are configuring your network device using console ports. That is, any of these ports is always written console port or auxiliary ports. As in when you connect your console cable to the console port to your system. And I said that console cables, we have RJ45 to serial and RJ45 to USB. I'm not saying for our desktops, you don't need, you don't see what you use on the desktop, RJ45 to serial. And when you're using this, you don't need any driver to drive this. But if you're using this, maybe possibly on a desktop or on the laptop, you need a driver. And that driver is USB serial driver. So you need to download it to drive this cable. So you get the sorry, there is noise here. I need to give me some time, please. I'll come back. There's something in my environment I need to look at, please. Sorry about that. There was a small issue in my neighborhood. So, as I said before, it's only on the USB serial, USB end. that you need a software, that is USB serial software. Now, I'm start. I just started configuring my network. I have connected either this. Let's assume that I'm using this. Maybe on my laptop, I use this. I connect one end to the router, that USB end to the router. Then the other end USB to my laptop. As soon as I connect that, I will open my PuTTY, that is terminal emulation software. I will open the terminal emulation software. Now we have different terminal emulation softwares. Terminal, terminal emulation softwares. Emulation softwares. One, I have yes, PuTTY. There is hyperterminal. Hyperterminal. Sorry, the spelling and everything. Hyperterminal. We have Teraterm. Teraterm. There are many of them online. These are just very few, the three that I have here. Now, as I said before, assume that I'm using out of band and I'm connecting using console. And I've told you for console, it depends on the kind of console type you are using. So as soon as I've connected to this device, to my laptop, I will launch any of these terminal emulation softwares. Let's assume that let me check whether I have one here. Teraterm, 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 Teraterm. I don't have anyone here. Shit. How could I have not have anyone on my system? Teraterm is not fucking here. Ouch. Supposed to have installed this thing before this class. Sorry about that. Okay. If you've installed, I'm supposed to install this thing. Supposed to really install this. Okay. Now, if I want to, let me just check if I have any of them. Within.
You share your screen because I can't see anything.
Okay, I'm coming. I will share the screen. I'm coming to do that. Desktop. Please hold on. I will be there. Softwares. Okay. So now I have Teraterm. You install the Teraterm. I'm trying to install the Teraterm. So I've done this earlier. Install the Teraterm. Let's just hope it runs very fast. So I have it before, but why is it not opening before? Next, 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 next. So I'm launching it now. So as soon as I launch it, see the way Teraterm looks like. Can we all see it? The Teraterm. Hello, please, I need your response here. Can we see?
Yes, Teratem 478.
Teraterm 478.
Wait.
Is that what you are seeing?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I just want to believe that you are seeing my screen. That's in the Teraterm. I just launched it. Okay.
Okay. We're just seeing the software app, not yet launched.
Okay, I've launched it. So let me open it. Okay, look at it here. Can you see it now? The software.
Yes.
Okay, now I just launched it now. Now, as I said before, we have different ways of configuring your network device. You have inbound and outbound and all of that. So on TCP, it falls under uh, inbound. That is, if you can either use Telnet, SSH, any other method and all of that to connect. I'll talk about this one later, but my concern is on serial. If I click on a serial, because I'm not connected to anything, that's why it's not showing. Just like this one. So I can, if I connect using serial, that my console cable, I can now open the serial. I click on the serial and now select the particular port. I select the particular port because so many ports will be there. Communication ports all will be there. Now, now select a particular port for that, the particular port for my serial connection. And how will I know my particular port for my serial connection? On the control panel. So on the control panel, device and managers. Device managers. Let me share the screen so that we can see what I'm doing. Hardware and sound. So you go to your device manager. On your device manager, you go to ports, something like that. No, why my own is not showing up is because I am not connected to the serial. So it's on this place you will see the USB serial port communication number. That's the communication number you need to add or select on your TerraTerm. As soon as you select it, it will now open. Your TerraTerm will now start reading your network device. But because we are not directly connected to any network device, I'll be using uh, packet tracer now. I'm bringing a router now. You can see my packet tracer.
Yes, sir.
Now, if I launch my TerraTerm, see what I'm going to see. You see the way it is reading now. That's the way it will start reading. If I launch my TerraTerm, it will start reading like this until I will land on, I will say no. I will now land on the user mode. Now, let me repeat what I've said so far. Maybe I can just take a summary of it. I said the topic is initial configuration of network devices. And I said we have two categories of configuring your network device. I said we have in-band management and out-of-band management. Now, out-of-band management is when you are using console port or auxiliary port on the network device. Now, in-band is when you are using a network, you are inside of the network and you want to configure a network device. The network can be inside your LAN or through internet. Then I now said for out-of-band, which is console or auxiliary, I have to connect my console cable I showed you earlier. Connect my console cable to the device and to my laptop. Now, console cables are of two types. One, we have one that is USB, one that is USB to RJ45, and another one is for serial to RJ45. Now, for serial to RJ45, you don't need a driver, but for USB to RJ45, you need a driver that will drive it. And when you drive it, you need to go and check. I need to stop this noise. So for me to drive it, I need to go to my device manager and check. Okay, for me to drive, I need to install USB serial driver. And as soon as I install it, I need to go to device device manager and check the particular COM number that that serial is connected to. And that's what I'm going to use on my terminal emulation software. Now, if your terminal emulation software has loaded, we have different modes you can actually see on the network device. As soon as you finish loading, can you see that? Can you see my where I just highlighted now? Can you see where I highlighted? It has it's written router with greater than sign. So this particular mode of the router, the CLI of the router, is referred to as user mode. This is called user mode, user exec mode, user exec mode. This mode is called user exec mode. It's on the user exec mode that you can You can use troubleshooting tools like pinging, traceat, and all of that. So if you want to have any question, you can chat, send a chat or talk. I actually disabled the mode before because of the noise from the background. So on the user mode, like I said before, that is there that you do your troubleshooting like pinging, traceat, and the rest. Now, we have other modes. The next mode is what we refer to as a privilege mode. Privilege mode. Let me maybe writing these things down. Hold on, please. Hold on. So we have the first mode is a user
Yeah.
exec mode. And I said here you use troubleshooting tools on it like pinging, trace, sat, and net start. These are the tools that you can actually use here on this mode. Now we have another mode called privilege. I hope you can see my screen. Privilege exec mode, or we call it enable mode.
So please, how can I get to see the physical from the router, sir?
How do you mean physical?
The present screen. How were you able to evolve it from the Cisco tracer, sir?
Okay, I just selected one router. Presently, just open a route, open packet tracer, select a router. Look at it. Can you see? I just selected a router and now dropped it. Or you click on a router and click on the screen. Click on the router, click on the screen. Can you
Okay,
see
I've
that?
seen it, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. CLI iOS command.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I've seen it, sir.
Okay. That's when you all open it. When you double click it, you now see the CLI and all of that. So
Okay, sir. I'm there, sir. Thank you
okay.
very much, sir.
You're welcome. So on the user mode, on the privilege mode, you save and you save your work and display settings on the device. So these are the basic things you do on the exec mode. We have another mode called global configurational mode. On that mode, this is where you do configurations. This is where you do configuration actually. Okay. So we have another mode called interface mode. Interface, maybe that will stop there. Interface mode. I'll go through, take us through all these different modes. Now, like I said before, that when your terminal emulation software loads, you're going to load and land you on the user mode. This is user mode. Can you see the sign of user mode? It has greater than sign. And I say this is where you do ping and you want to ping any IP address or something. This is where you do the pinging. Or you do traceat, netstart, and all that with the router. Now, if you want to save your work, you go to privilege mode. How do you enter into privilege mode? By typing enable. If I type enable, I'll enter privilege mode. Can you see the difference now? Can you notify the difference? See this one. You see this one. Yeah, this one has uh, hashtag. Why this one has greater than? So that is different. This one is user mode. This one is privilege mode. And it's on a privilege mode that you save your work and display settings. I'll talk more about that later on. So another mode is configurational mode. Global configurational mode. Global configurational mode. How do you get to global configurational mode? By typing configure terminal. Configure terminal. Have you seen that it has changed? So this is user mode. This is privilege mode. This is global mode. And you are meant to know each and every one of them by mere looking at it. So if I look at it, I would not know that this place is my global mode. This is my privilege mode. This is my what do you call it? User mode. Now all our configurations are done here. In fact, 95% of configurations are done here on the global configurational mode. Okay. And one more thing you need to know is that if I want to go back, okay, if I want to enter interface mode, for instance, I'll show you these ones later on, how to use this later. Maybe I have a switch, for instance. I have a switch and I have system, for instance, like this. Now, if I have something like this interface on the router that I'm connected to, because the router has so many interfaces, you have gigabit 0/0/0. That's the interface name and the number. Just like if let me just show you how this looks like. Now, this is my router. Let me get out. See my router now. We have so many interfaces on it, and they have different names. Maybe this one can be Giga Ethernet, Fast Ethernet, Giga Ethernet. Okay, this one might be Giga Ethernet, Giga Ethernet, Fast Ethernet. Maybe it's Fast Ethernet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all of that. So you need to know the name and the number before you're able to configure. So if I want to configure only this particular interface, I need to know the name and the number. Likewise, this. If I want to configure only this particular one, I need to have the name and the number. You know that when looking at this place, now discover that there are about how many interfaces? Four. Four interfaces, and they have types and names. Now, for their names, we have Fast Ethernet, we have Gig Ethernet. Fast Ethernet interfaces used to carry bandwidth of between 10 to 100 Mbps, whereas Giga Ethernet port carries heavier data from 1000 and above. So now if I want to configure a particular one, normally if I want to, uh, sorry, if I want to connect my router to a switch, you know that this line between switch and the router has carries heavy bandwidth, traffic kind of. So I am meant to connect my switch to the router using Giga Ethernet ports. I need to connect to Giga Ethernet ports between these stages. Now, if I have something like, again like another switch, maybe that switch has different pieces. Okay, now if I'm connecting, I have this kind of network. The port on the switch to the router is supposed to be a Giga Ethernet port. I supposed to connect to Giga Ethernet ports. Why? Is because I'm expecting a lot of traffic because the switch can be 24 port switch. And for me to get to another network or go to internet, I need to pass through this connection between the switch and the router. So if my hosts are 24 and they are all running at 100 Mbps, 100 Mbps, 100 Mbps, 100 Mbps, I don't expect that I should use 100 Mbps to channel all the links to another network. So whenever, in summary, whenever you're connecting whenever you're running connection between two network devices, like switch to switch, or router to router, or router to switch, always try to ensure that you connect using Giga Ethernet ports because of the size of data it can carry. And also sometimes if you are connecting to a server, like now I have a server, if I have a server in my network, I'm supposed to connect Giga Ethernet because I have finished my Giga Ethernet anyway. Giga Ethernet to the server. So anytime you're expecting traffic or any port that you're expecting traffic, you know that if I have a server, a lot of traffic are going to the server. So this port on a server is supposed to be on Giga Ethernet. So they'll be able to accommodate the traffic that are going there so that they won't be bottlenecked. So that's the essence of connecting using gigabit and fast Ethernet. Fast Ethernet normally connect all your hosts to the fast Ethernet, but uh, uh, network to network you use gigabit, or network device to another network device you use gigabit, and all of that. Now, as I said before, we have we have user mode, privilege mode, and global configuration mode. I've said things that we do in each and every one of them, and all of that. Now, if I want to go to interface mode, look at the interface I'm connected to this router is Giga Ethernet 0/0. I'll say interface gigabit 0/0/0. That is a number. I put enter. Can you see that this one, there's another mode now? You see that it's config-if. Whereas global mode is this config. Privilege mode is just hash. While user mode is this. So you are meant to know all this thing by mere looking at it. So if I look at this, I know that it's privilege mode. If I see this, I know that it's if I see this, I know it's privilege mode. If I see this, I know it's global mode. No, if I see this, I know it's global mode. If I see this, I know it's user mode. So I should know each and every one of them by mere looking at it. Now, for me to go back now, when you are browsing, if you want to go back to the next page or where you came from, you click back button. If I want to go back, you type exit. If I press exit, you see that now I'm now on global mode. If I type exit again, I am now on privilege mode. If I type exit again, I am now on user mode. So going back to where I came from, enable this privilege mode, configure terminal, This is global mode, interface, 0/0/0. This is the interface mode. Now, if I type exit now, I'm going to land on the global mode. If I tap another exit, I'm now go to privilege mode. But wherever mode where I am, whatsoever mode where you are, and you want to go straight to the privilege mode, you just type end. It will take you straight to privilege mode. See that I'm on privilege mode. Straight. Or you type Control Z on your keyboard. Like now, if I am on this mode now, on the interface mode, if I press Control Z on my keyboard, you see Control Z, it takes me straight to the privilege mode. It's very important you take note of all these things. They are very, very important for your exams and for your operation of your uh, CLI while configuring your network device. But for now, we'll go off and come back again because my time is almost up.